And we are live yet again. Hello, everyone. It seems like more things change, the more they stay the same, huh? As always,
Yeah, we're
as
still
always, I'm
West
joined
Ham.
by Irish Tommy. How you doing, mate?
I'm okay, all things considered. Personally, I'm okay, but far from happy with what I saw today, Chris.
That's a very, very fair assessment. I think we all knew coming into it was going to be different. It was going to be kind of something an adjustment period, getting used to the new style, with the fan noise, no fans in the actual seats, everything like that. But I mean, it looked like we didn't take 3 months off. It looked like it was just a continuation.
Yeah, just picked up right where they left off.
Yeah.
It was kind of impressive in a way. Uh, you could be equally bad after a 3 month layoff and tanning yourself and still come back and be flat. I mean, it's quite
Yep.
an achievement in some ways. It was it was just terrible.
Flat is the perfect word to describe that. I mean, it was just. I mean, even until Adama Traore came on for Wolves. I mean, both sides were pretty boring. I mean, it was up until he came on. It was a relatively boring match.
Yeah, Wolves weren't setting the world on fire either. Evening Dazat. Yeah, Wolves weren't setting the world on fire either. It wasn't a great watch. It was kind of both teams were basically doing the same thing. Where you'd have possession in your opponent's half, you were kind of knocking it about a bit, but they had everyone kind of behind the ball and in position, and nothing was happening that was ever going to drag anybody out of position or create a hole that anyone could play through. And both teams, I didn't think. Now, the first 10, 15 minutes, I thought Wolves were very lively and looked dangerous, and created some opportunities, and they got some shots off. But after that, really, up until Nuno changed up his tactics and brought on Traore.
You mean like a decent manager does?
Yeah, like a decent manager does when he says, and he's the away manager, so you can understand him sticking with it for a while and saying, okay, you had a good first half, created some chances, I'll give you some time in the second, see if you can make the breakthrough. It didn't happen. So he says, right, okay, it's time to switch it up. We're going to change the formation, going to bring two players in. And it worked a treat. I mean, next thing you know, they're 2-0 up. Like I say, that's how good managers earn their corn, Unfortunately, Moyes did the opposite.
And I thought it was perfect too, not just because Traore is a good player and they have that capacity on the bench, but with us not making any substitutions, they waited until we were just dead tired and then brought on their lightning fast player. I mean, he was bound to get through regardless, and we brought on absolutely no help to support Cresswell.
Yeah, I mean, look, Nuno changed it up. He changed up the formation. He changed up the tactics, the way they were playing the game. And as I say, it worked for them brilliantly. Moyes did the opposite. Every sub was like for like. So first double sub he made was he brought on Fredericks for Ngakia, and that's not going to do anything for us. Yeah, that's a pointless substitution. I don't know what that was about. And he brought on, was it Lanzini for Anderson? So another Lanzini, I mean, may as well have just left Anderson in there and Ngakia in there. For what difference was that going to make? Lanzini's been poor all season. He's been as bad as Anderson.
I will give Lanzini a bit of the doubt there. I did see some flashes at times of his previous self. I mean, it didn't look as bad as before the stoppage, but it still wasn't amazing, we'll say.
No, I mean, it didn't really, to me, it didn't make us look particularly threatening when he came on. But, we didn't suddenly start, getting shots off or anything.
No.
So that didn't really do anything for us. And then he brought Yarmolenko on for Fornells, another, just like for like substitution.
I was wanting Yarmolenko to come on earlier. I thought for most of that match, Fornells, at times I actually just found myself forgetting that he was even on the pitch. I mean, he was just I thought he was non-existent today. I mean, it could just be because he was kind of doing his thing, but I didn't see much of him. I didn't hear his name called. But when you bring on someone like when your opponent brings on someone with the quality of Traore, and you bring on Lanzini trying to go forward when you know your defense is just tired and weak at that point, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, just tactically and with the subs, Moyes just got it all wrong. But that's Moyes. Moyes just doesn't do anything to change a game up. He doesn't have a propensity to just, right, we're going to switch now to a 4-3-3. We're going to go 3 up top. At 1-0 down, the writing was on the wall. If anything, it was Wolves that were going to score again. So that's the time when Moyes says, okay, this is when we have to switch this up and do something a bit different. He didn't. He just made 3 like-for-like substitutions. No sign of Wilshere. Wilshere is the one player. He's fit and available, probably mad to get on the pitch. The one player we have with a bit of craft and a bit of guile, who might who might pick a lock for us. Who might play a great little ball through or pick out a little dink over the top or something. He has that ability. So I was looking for Wilshere to come on, that maybe he was the player later on in the game, like I say, when it had opened up a bit, that he maybe could get on the ball, and play a defense splitting pass or something and make a difference for us. But he just brought on Yarmolenko, Lanzini, and Fredericks, and just like-for-like subs, as I say, and they weren't going to change the game for us. So, but that's Moyes. Used 3 of the 5 subs. And Traore came on, as Tony says there. Traore came on. Literally all he has to do is knock the ball past Cresswell and run. I don't particularly blame Cresswell. I mean, even over 10 yards for the cross, say for the first goal, Traore literally did nothing else. He knocked the ball 10 yards past Cresswell. Cresswell turned to run with him. He wasn't out of position, even Cresswell. He just turned to run with him and just couldn't get there. Traore was just too fast. He was always getting to the ball first. Dinked a beautiful ball to the far post. And it was a 5-yard header into an empty net for Jimenez. So we just didn't have that. Moyes didn't do that. He didn't he didn't think, okay, we don't have a Traore, but we do have a Jack Wilshere. And, that's a player who can come on and can, create a moment of magic, where we can beat a defense with one pass. But it clearly just never crossed his mind, especially when you got 5 subs. There's no reason not to do it.
That you can physically sub out half of the team, literally half of the team right now, and you still only make 3 substitutions, and all 3 were pretty poor. I mean, it's incredible how this club's luck when it comes to managers who just do not know how to utilize substitutions, especially given this opportunity when you have even more opportunity to change things, and you still don't.
Especially when he had more than enough time to see the way this ain't working. I think I can only remember one shot on target from Ngakia in the second half when he feinted to shoot in his right and cut in onto his left and hit a low drive, which was under hit and straight at Patricio, who made a routine save on it. I can't remember Patricio making another save. Actually, came for some crosses and stuff. But
challenged after that. One of the comments.
So if you're Moyes, if you're the manager, you have to be at some point in the second half, whether it's before you go behind or after, but at some point you say, okay, we're not going to get anything from the game like this, especially after the goal. They will score, right? You're 1-0 down. You have to know at that point, this is not working. We're going to lose this game. I have to, change the formation. I have to try something, get more attacking players on the pitch in forward positions, give us a chance. I think the man's clueless, to be honest. And it's actually, if you remember the other day, West Ham actually came out with a statement and said that Moyes, I don't know where it came from. Was it Claret Hugh saying that Moyes would still be the manager even if we got relegated? And I'm saying, I hope that's not true, because that man is clueless.
Moyes is our manager for at least the next year, unfortunately.
That's crazy to me. I mean, listen, what if we look like that for the rest of the season? Don't win a single game or win 1 or 2 games and go down, sink like a stone. Who thinks Moyes is going to bring us back?
No. And the bigger issue with that would be no one's going to want to stay. Souček's gone, Bowen's gone, Aller's gone, Anderson's gone. Diop's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we're going to lose a lot of players. And we're kind of back to square one. So we're back to we've sold all these players. We've got what we could for them, and now we're buying in other championship players. Players that we're refitting the squad with championship players who we think can get us back to the Premier League. And you're back to square one, talking about having to do a complete rebuild if and when you do get back to the Premier League. So, it doesn't look good, Chris.
We're in dire straits.
I think at the moment Palace are winning, so they're doing us a favour. I haven't checked in a little bit, but maybe you can see it there. You've got a Palace were 1-0 up. I think Milivojevic scored a free kick. So hopefully Palace can do us a favour and keep us out of the relegation zone. I think Bournemouth only need a point.
Right now, Palace is up 2-0 at halftime.
Oh, excellent. Okay, 2-0. So Palace at the moment look like they're going to keep us out of the relegation zone.
It just sucks so much for me. I know that it's probably felt across West Ham fandom, but it just sucks having to rely on other teams' results.
And we've been doing it for a while. We've been very lucky, actually. Even before the suspension of the Premier League, we had a lot of weekends where results were really kind to us. All the teams down around us were losing and drawing when we were losing and drawing, and they were kind of largely kept us out of the relegation zone for the vast majority of it, although we slipped in there briefly. But we've been really lucky, that in that regard, and it looks like we're not going to be punished the way we might have been this weekend at the moment. Watford, they got a late equaliser, but they didn't win. So the teams below us, Villa didn't win. Norwich lost, and it looks like Bournemouth are going to lose. So again, we've been lucky, but you have to wonder how long our luck is going to hold out, Chris.
It really is the matter of the question right now. I want to talk to you a bit about Ngakia. I know that's been kind of the topic of the last week and a half for us fans, but where is it? Comment here from, I love this name, a pug named Travis. Curious if he was the only one who thought Ngakia couldn't be asked for the first 15, 20 minutes. And that's what I had heard on the broadcast. The first few minutes, I was actually having to listen to it on my phone as I was on my way home. But I thought he was one of the better players today, which is not saying much. But one of the things that I actually heard, I don't know if the announcers were the same for you as well, but one of the announcers for us was talking about Ngakia, if he's wanting to leave and go somewhere else. He's apparently there's clubs both in the Premier League and Bundesliga who are interested in him, but he's saying that he's not good enough to hold his own. Why would he want to change, or why would he want to go somewhere else where he'd end up fading into obscurity? And that match proved it even more to me, at least the first 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think Ngakia is making a big mistake, personally. He'd broken into the first team. He had played very well in the 3 games before the league was suspended, and he looked very promising. Apparently, look, this is going to be money, right? He wants more money than the club are willing to give him, but this is the world we live in now, Chris. The entitlement of young players now is ridiculous. This is someone who made 3 first-team appearances. And he should have been absolutely delighted with where he was. And frankly, the contract he was given wasn't terrible. I mean, he could have earned quite a lot of money based on appearances, which he surely would have gotten, because Moyes did seem to like him. He didn't start him at Anfield for nothing. Didn't play him in 3 consecutive games for nothing. Yeah. So he was in a position where he should have been saying, this is brilliant. This is everything I wanted. They're going to give me a bit more money. They're going to give me even more when I make first-team appearances, which he surely was going to get. He may well have become the first choice right back. I mean, he played today ahead of Fredericks and Johnson. So, the entitlement is incredible, because now he's holding out for silly money. It was a 20 grand. I wouldn't give it to him either, frankly. These days of players, I made a first-team appearance, where's my money? How about go fuck yourself? He didn't prove anything yet. He's proved absolutely nothing. All he's proven is that he has promise, he has potential.
Yeah.
Now, 3 games isn't going to cut it. You've got to come in, make that position your own, the right back position, which he may well have been able to do. And if you make yourself the de facto first choice right back, then and you make a number of appearances there, and it's clear to everyone this guy is our right back going forward, then
Yeah.
you'll get paid. You'll get paid accordingly then as a first team starting player, right? First team regular. Then you'll get your money. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to have to go through the, proving himself. Bless his little heart. Didn't want to have to go prove he could nail down the right back spot and that he was good enough to do that. Wanted his money right now because he made 3 appearances. So he's digging his heels in. He's saying he's not even going to extend his contract beyond June the 30th. Now, starting him today, the only reason I can imagine Moyes has done that is some desperate attempt to persuade him to stay at the club, which I don't think he should have done. Frankly, I'd be done with Ngaki at this point. He wouldn't pull on a West Ham shirt again. I think probably what are you going to do? The best thing you'll get is maybe you'll get. What are we in now? What date is it today?
The
17th or some 20th of June. You've got 10 days. You get a couple of games out of him, and what if he plays really well? All you've done is maybe attract another couple of clubs.
Yeah.
To come and say, hey, we might like to sign you. So I think I wouldn't have started Ngakia today. I'd never start him again. I'd say, look, if you want to be like that and take your chances somewhere else, good luck to you. But we're done with you. And you've got Ben Johnson. Sorry, no, Chris. I know I'm ranting a bit, but I feel really strongly about this.
Yeah.
We've got Ben Johnson sitting on the bench, who frankly I think is better than Ngakia.
So does the higher ups in the club.
Yeah, Ben Johnson is a really, really talented youngster. I would have loved to have seen Ben Johnson get a start today. Loved it at right back. I think he's a better player than Ngakia. I think if he's given a chance and given a run, and hopefully he will once Ngakia fucks off. And then, so I would have had Johnson in there today. No, if Fredericks had started, fine. I have no problem with Fredericks. I know he's a limited player. He's very average as a Premier League right back. Yes, Tim, I know. But at least he's here and he's committed and he's ready to play and he wants to be here and everything. So, all we've done is, and let's be honest, I thought Ngakia was very average today. Who was it mentioned a little while ago there in the chat at those first 15, 20 minutes? Ngakia was all over the place.
Travis.
Yeah. That's exactly what I saw too. He was all over the place. He lost the ball a couple of times and got us into some bad spots. Now he settled a bit after that, but after that he was only okay. He didn't look, like head and shoulders above anybody else at West Ham today. He was okay, but no more than that.
Yeah.
So if anything, today it maybe make him think, maybe I should get off my high horse here a little bit.
Yeah, I think with the whole playing Ngakia thing, I think it's a combination of what you had said with a last ditch effort in trying to convince him to stay at the club, but I also think that it's kind of like a philosophy of run till the wheels run off or fall off. If we only have him for 10 more days, we can conserve Fredericks, Zabaleta, and Johnson until after he's gone, and then that gives us matches on the back end when he's gone where they're fully fit still.
Well, that's fine. You can take that view of it. It's just not the way I feel about it.
No.
If I understand Moyes might take that view of it, or maybe he does take that view of it. I would take the exact opposite view. Once he has said not only will he not sign a new contract, but he will not extend his current one till the new end of the season. As soon as his current contract is up on the 30th of June, he's out the door. I'd have him out the door already. I'd say, you know what, you just fucking stay at home for the rest of the season. We don't want you around here. We're going forward with Ben Johnson. That's what I would do.
Or with players who at least want to be here this season.
Players who are committed, want to be here. Look, maybe the fact that Ngakia didn't play nearly as well today is indifference. Maybe he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and that was one thing the commentators were talking about too with him not really caring the first few minutes of the match. He had like his body language of he's just like, I really don't care. I think he was just showing up to show up, to make sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that thing, where you've accepted a job at a new company and you're just finishing out your last few days at your current one and you don't really give a shit. You're just going through the motions just till you can get out of there. So
I think that's exactly what it was. I kind of want to turn attention then a little bit now to I think we're gonna have, well, you're kind of hot on Ngaki. Let's transfer to Anderson. Let's hear what you got.
Oh, you're pressing all my buttons, Chris.
We need Ray in the chat.
Yeah, you're pressing all my buttons now. Look, you know exactly where I stand on Anderson. I've been
a similar view, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I've been done with Anderson for a while. I was teetering on the brink for a while, and then we had the game at Anfield. And there was that one moment where he pulled out of a soft 50-50. This wasn't a slide and tackle 50-50 here. It was on your feet, just putting the foot in just to try and nick the ball away strongly. He pulled out of it and lost possession. And I think it was Firmino got a shot off, which just went wide. We almost conceded from it. And that was the moment where I was like, you know what? Fuck off now. Because, look, I don't mind any player. They have a spell of bad form. It happens to every player where there's a period they go through where they're just not playing well. And they'll come through after a while and get back to playing well. But one thing I cannot stand is seeing players pulling out of 50-50 challenges like that, soft ones. He has no intention of ever actually challenging for a ball. I saw him do it again today. There was a ball that popped up in the air between him and a Wolves player, and he made this kind of half-hearted pretend that I'm going to go up and try and nick the ball away with my head. Had absolutely no intention of going for the ball. I'm sorry, if you can't even commit physically to trying to go into challenges and try and win the ball, and he's afraid of fucking being hurt, Chris. He's afraid to actually go in and even make relatively soft challenges in case he gets hurt. We can't have it. Even when he does get the ball, you saw him today, or at least would have heard it, pouncing about. He looks like a fucking show pony. You know those horses, what do you call it, dressage? You know those horses that pounce about, giving it all this? That's what he looks like. And then he loses the ball because it's so easy to take the ball off him because he doesn't want to get hurt. You can literally go in, put a little foot in, and you've got it. You've taken the ball off him. He's not going to put in a strong challenge to try and keep it. So he's a waste of time. And I've been saying this for a while. And I was alarmed when I saw him on the team sheet today. He wasn't on my team that I put out. Neither was Lanzini, because I think he's been as bad. But yeah, I'm completely done with Anderson. He should be one of the first players out the door. If you can't even commit physically to try and go in and win some balls and put yourself about a little bit and show some urgency, some determination, then you're no good to us. And I don't know what's wrong with Anderson, but his head's not right, and he's stealing a living right now.
I don't know if you know the exact stat, but the announcers here in the States for our stream at least were made it a point of emphasis several times. Felipe Anderson has scored once in 39 matches. I mean,
it doesn't go bad,
and we paid over $50 million for him.
Yeah, I mean, how often have we seen him this season where he actually runs past people or skins someone and gets in around the box and cuts in, gets a shot off, or lays a ball off for someone to get a shot? The last goal, I think, was the Bournemouth game, which was actually the 4-0 win when Bournemouth were absolutely horrible. It was David Moyes' first game in charge. Remember, that was a brilliant kind of long-range crossfield diagonal ball from Rice, and Anderson with a really, really good first touch. I think the problem with Anderson, I think he's great when he's got space and time, as in that goal. He was all on his own out there. There was no one near him. Ball to feet. Really first good touch where he shifted it out of his feet. Defender had overcommitted coming the other way, and he was away. And so no one actually ever touched him. And he was in open space. You know, he felt no danger from anyone. And then he kind of comes alive a little bit and he shows his pace and you know, he looks good. But if you get other players anywhere near Anderson, where they're any bit tight to him during the game, or they can squeeze him a little bit out in the wing, he becomes absolutely useless.
Yeah. You had said it earlier where that you gave up on Anderson a while ago.
Yeah.
I had been kind of done with him as well, but I was interested to see, just like everyone else was on Twitter, how he would respond to this kind of new style with no fans in the stadium, no fan pressure. It's just him and his team against another team. Today is that it's never been about the scenario. It's never been about the fans. He's just bad. He's just bad. He's been such a flop.
That was a bullshit thing to say anyway. I saw people like on Twitter and stuff, saying, well, maybe Anderson, when there's no fans in there, he'll feel less pressure or whatever. I mean, come on, he's a professional footballer. He's been around long enough. I mean, if you're a professional footballer and you struggle to play in front of fans, that's literally your job.
Yeah, that's
how long has he been a pro? It's not like he just broke into the team. He's a kid. He's well into his 20s. He's been playing in front of crowds for a long time. I mean, what are people talking about?
Yeah.
No pressure on him, so he'll play better. If you're a professional footballer and you can't play in front of fans, like, what the fuck? It's literally what you do every week and have done since you broke into professional football. I never understood that thinking. It was all bullshit to me from the first minute I heard it. I'm talking, come on. He's not playing shit because there's fans in the stadium, and he's not going to be amazing just because it's an empty stadium. Well, like you say, it showed.
I actually prefer that there were no fans in there. I could not imagine the abuse that would have been hurled their way, but rightfully so. I mean, it was poor from top to bottom.
Fans spend a lot of money following their team. Fans spend a lot of money following West Ham. If they want to sit in the stands and boo and throw a few fucks into a few players, I think they're entitled to do it, especially when we see that kind of bullshit we saw today. I think it was after we conceded the first goal, there was about 10 minutes after that where we actually showed some urgency and we started to play with a bit of tempo and looked like we actually wanted to try and score a goal. That was that one moment Lanzini had that you mentioned, where he actually managed to dink a ball into the goal.
Flashes of his former self. It was like, maybe he's turned the corner. I mean, that was time.
I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was his one moment where he actually, came alive a little bit. But that was all we did. That 10-minute spell after we conceded the first goal, where we looked a bit lively. I was watching it with a friend, and I remember saying to him, "Where the fuck was this for 70 minutes?
Yeah,
where was this urgency? Where was this tempo? Where was this kind of attitude where our players looked like they actually really wanted to try and go and win this thing?" And it lasted for 10 minutes, and then it was gone again, and then Wolves scored again, and then you knew that was it, game over. But I mean, there's this. I can't understand it, Chris. I mean, we're fans, right? You could pick any 11 West Ham fans and put them on that pitch today. Okay, they've had no chance against Wolves, but mentally they would have been right. You know what I mean? Like, mentally they would have been right. Fucking, we need to be at this from the off, boys. We need to get stuck into these guys. We're going to need tempo and get closing down and and do the right things. 11 fans would have done it that much. Apparently, 11 of our players can't.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're just sleepwalking to the championship.
Yeah, if you were to put 11 random West Ham fans pulled off the street at random on that field today, they couldn't have done worse. They could not have done it worse than what we saw out there. I mean, it could have been better.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm laughing because my daughter's here with two of her friends and they wanted to pass, so the three of them were like in a single file on their hands and knees crawling past behind me, and it looked ridiculous. But that's the thing that really grates on me, Chris. It's just the lack of urgency. Like I said, they're just sleepwalking to the championship. Like, it doesn't matter who we're playing. Like I said, like you alluded to, like Wolves weren't great today. For much of that game until Nuno changed it up, Wolves were quite lethargic and they were knocking the ball around an hour and a half, but they weren't getting through. They weren't pulling us out of position. They weren't having much joy. So um, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. We've got to, at the very least, show some urgency. I mean, they have to look at the table and say,
Yeah.
that we have to fight our way out of this. There's no point thinking that we're really good players on paper. Our first 11 looks good on paper. We'll win this game or that game. It's not how it works. You've got to have the right attitude, and it just again was not there today.
With that, though, that's a perfect segue. With that and Tony's comment asking your thoughts on Noble. Moving forward here, we play, it is Tottenham away on Tuesday. But the reason I'm saying it's a good transition here is because, as I was talking to you before we began the live stream, I don't know how many people in the comments had seen this on Twitter, but there was a quote from Noble yesterday in one of the West Ham videos that they put out, saying, hopefully we're not going to have bad results, but it's more than likely we will because of the teams we've got to play. Our captain seems to have no faith moving forward.
No, that's a defeatist attitude.
Yeah.
Really defeatist attitude. I mean, you don't say that. I mean, look, I don't want him to come out and say deluded stuff. We're going to win every game, or anything like that. But it should still be a positive message, whatever he's going to say. He's going to say, look, I know we have a tough start now that we're back, 3 tough games to start, but every game is winnable in the Premier League. So we're going to go out, we're going to put a shift in, we're going to work really hard, and we're going to give it everything we've got. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get a result. That's fine. That's realistic, and it's a positive message. But we're going to lose some games because we're playing some good teams. I'll tell you fucking what, Chris. We're going to lose to some fucking bad teams too, the way we played today. We're going to lose to average teams, the way we played today. This isn't about, we're playing Wolves and Chelsea and Tottenham, that's why we lost. It's not. The way Wolves played, we could have won that game.
Yeah.
They weren't brilliant. And, so we're capable of losing any game the way we played today. So it's nothing to do with who we're playing right now, because the attitude is all wrong.
Yeah.
Just sorry to answer Tony's question. He asked me what I thought about Noble today. I thought like most of the team, he was fairly average. I mean, he did okay. He wasn't Anderson. I thought he got on the ball quite a lot, and he moved it about. He actually played a beautiful ball over the top for Fornals, which he completely skied early in the first half, or midway through the first half. But no, I didn't think Noble was our worst player by any means today. No. I thought he did okay. He showed for the ball a lot. Now, look, Noble's not, he's not Pirlo. He's not gonna be, imperious or anything like that. But I thought Noble, when he was on the ball, just did what he could, really, just moved the ball around, kept the passes moving left and right. But nothing special. But again, I think Noble was Noble. I think that's kind of what he is now. No, actually, the team I put out, I didn't have Noble in it. I think Noble is he's a nice player. He's good technically, but he just has no pace. There's no pace.
And that seems to be a common theme in this team, and that's what makes us struggle most. Someone like Adama Traore can just easily blitz past everybody, and no one can defend him.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, speed kills. So I thought, Tony, I thought Noble was okay today. Didn't really do much wrong. But again, I think we've got to start moving on from. Like I actually put out a 4-3-3 today, and I did have Rice at centre back because I knew it was coming. I actually had a midfield three of I had Socek in the middle of a midfield three with Fornals to the left of the three and Wilshere on the right of the three, because I thought that gave us energy. leg energy. Fornals and Socek could do lots of running, lots of energy. And Socek has the engine to get forward and back. So does Fornals. Wilshire has that craft. So I thought that might be a nice balance. But so I didn't have Noble in there.
Yeah,
I think realistically, Noble now should be a sub.
yeah. And that's one thing that I saw a lot of people arguing over too, whether the formation was right, whether the lineup was correct. I've seen a lot of people in here commenting, why didn't Ajeti or Zonde Silva get a run out at least? I mean, they couldn't have done any worse. I mean, it's should have been. I would have put at least one of them on, but primarily for me, I knew that Rice was going to be at center back, considering it doesn't seem that Moyes rates Balbuena at all. So he was never.
I think I think that was a mistake, frankly.
Yeah, but I think the reason that he kept Rice back there is because if need be, Rice can get forward as well, and then you have a midfield three at that allows you to have a midfield that includes Souček, Noble, and Fornals, and keep Bowen out there as well. So I think that's kind of where it was. The mindset was at, but I don't think I would not have put Rice at center back. I would have kept him in midfield. Probably would have.
Yeah, I think he's wasted there.
Even if you don't, if you don't bring out Balbuena, you could put Cardoso out there. He couldn't do any worse.
Well, I like Balbuena. Nothing wrong with Balbuena. He's a decent player. He's a good backup centre back. He's played some really great games for us.
Yeah,
Balbuena. And I think given how the game went today, I think Balbuena would have been absolutely fine. Just a lot of crosses to deal with, headers. Blocks. Just basic fucking centre back play was all that was required today. I don't see why Balbuena couldn't have come in and done that. So I would have kind of kept Rice in midfield. I mean, even if you wanted to go with a midfield three of Rice, Souček, and Noble, I mean, that would have been fine. Rice, would have maybe helped a lot in there.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up. Yeah, Balbuena this year has only made 13 appearances. So, I mean, he has.
Well, I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand what him being. I can understand Balbuena being a backup centre back, because I think, to be fair, Ogbonna's been one of our better players this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Diop is settling in, so, and he's young and he's very talented, and so I can understand wanting to give him games and get him improved as quickly as possible. So I understand him not making that many appearances, but it's not like Balbuena's. He's not the centre back version of Roberto. You know what I mean? He's a very competent.
Speaking of Roberto, and seeing the comments, apparently Roberto actually kept a clean sheet today for Alaves.
Well, Alaves must have a fucking amazing back four.
Yeah, I
he made a howler last week, by the way, so I'm not letting him off the hook. Roberto made a howler last week that cost Alaves a goal, so he came out flapping at another ball, missed it.
So where do we go from here, mate? Tottenham on Tuesday.
Yeah, so I suppose we'll be hearing from Noble or someone else tomorrow that the season starts Wednesday. And someone needs to tell him we always start seasons badly. So, I mean, look, we've got Tottenham away on Wednesday. You'd have to be very, very pessimistic. We're not playing the Tottenham we were going to be playing. They've got Kane and Son back in there.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So, and apparently Haller will be available for that. So there's always hoofball up to Antonio and Haller, I suppose.
Haller, that reminds me, I don't know if you had seen this or not. Apparently, Snodgrass has aggravated disc in his back, so he might be out for some time.
He probably wasn't going to feature much anyway.
No, I mean that's.
But I'll tell you what, Chris. There's a lot of our fans maybe give Snodgrass a bit of shit, like they're saying, "Oh, he's no good in all this," which is bullshit. I would every fucking day of the week give me Snodgrass ahead of Anderson or fucking Lanzini, because he will put a fucking shift in, and he will get on the ball, and he will try and make things happen. He'll put great deliveries in from crosses, corners, free kicks, and he will put it in. So you give me a Snodgrass over that fucking show Pony Anderson any day of the week, Chris.
Yeah. So what do you think for Tottenham? You feeling good though?
No. Tottenham, we're going to lose again.
Yeah, I see it too.
Yeah, we're just going to lose. I'm sorry. Like that performance today was disgusting. If you can't come back after that break, refreshed, raring to go, I thought these players were going to be crazy for a game of football. I thought they were going to be hyped up. Finally, we get to play a game of football. I thought they'd be putting it about and, show some intensity, running around, wanting to score goals and play well and get involved. And they came back like it was a chore.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. If they can't come back, with the right attitude today at home to Wolves, what? It's hard for me to expect them to do it. Oh, okay, it's Tottenham. It's a London derby, and we'll get the usual talk on Twitter all week. Oh, well, we always turn up for Tottenham, and Noble always plays great against Tottenham. Sorry, I don't buy it. After today, I don't expect much better from the team on Wednesday. It'll be interesting to see how Moyes reacts.
If he does,
and see if he reacts.
I think it's.
But I'm not optimistic, Chris.
I think it's entirely possible that Felipe Anderson gets another start against Tottenham. I think it's an absolute joke and absolute mistake, but I see him getting the nod.
Wouldn't surprise me. Or he may just switch him out and put Lanzini in. One donkey for another. But I just I'll be annoyed if I see Lanzini or Anderson start. Like I say, they certainly wouldn't be in my team. They'd be hard pressed for me to bring them off the bench. Those two, to be honest. But we'll have to wait and see. We talk about a reaction, like I just said, from players. I think maybe what we need is a fucking reaction from Moyes. We need Moyes.
Anything.
Yeah, I don't normally think managers should do this, but maybe desperate times need desperate measures. I wouldn't mind if Moyes absolutely cut the living shit out of our players in the press tomorrow. If he was calling them out, telling them that was a disgrace and their attitude is ridiculous, and they play like players who actually like the idea of being in the championship and having their wages cut in half, I would put it up to them.
Well,
because sometimes you need to shame fucking players for them to say, "Oh, if I can show him."
Happen solely because
no, it won't happen.
Sam Ingersoll's already published the transcript of the post-match interview.
Do I even want to know, Chris, what he said?
They asked him about a lack of energy. If West Ham had a lack of energy, he said, "We worked really hard on trying to get in behind, but we came up against a good team. I thought we played tough for long parts of the game to dig out a result."
Chris, absolute bollocks. We did nothing quickly, apart from that 10-minute spell that I talked about after they scored, where we actually did play with some tempo and urgency. The rest of it, the other 84 minutes that were played, everything was slow, laborious, predictable. We were never going to pull any players out of shape, out of position, to create space and openings that we could play through or run through. That was never good. And frankly, Wolves didn't really do it to us until Nuno changed the system and brought on Traore, and I know someone else came on them. I can't remember who it was. But that double substitution changed it. But up until then, what's he talking about? They were so good, we just couldn't get in behind them. You're not getting behind anybody. No team. You're not getting behind them playing like that. Everything is done too slowly, and particularly you're just passing the ball over and back. All their defense is doing is this. Over and back, no problem.
Here's a few more comments from him, too. More on the game. We were hard at it, but Wolves made it difficult. They stretch you out. They stretch you wide. I think for long periods we did okay. Traore altered the direction of the game. And they asked Moyes if he's worried. And his response was, "I think that we need to improve in attacking. Defensively, we've done a pretty good job. We expected him to start, but we didn't defend the crosses well enough. We were short in attacking players, short of options. We didn't get anything going.
Yeah, he's basically alluding to the same thing I said. Wolves, for a lot of the game, until Nuno made those tactical changes and positional changes, Wolves were kind of the same as us in a lot of ways. Moving the ball a bit slowly over and back, and we were never really pulled out of shape. Some crosses came in we had to deal with, but they weren't great. But once Nuno had changed it up, it just changed the game, and that was when we were in trouble. When they actually started getting down by the byline around the edge of our box, which is when the dangerous balls come in, because those are only little dinked crosses. Before that, they were having to kind of cross from further out near the sideline. Players have a lot more time to react to those balls coming in, to get in the right position to head them away and defend them. But once they switched it up, they actually started getting in and around the edges of our box out wide, and were able to actually dink very accurate, dangerous balls in. And that's what we saw. That's where the goals came from. So, the Wolves did make it relatively easy for long spells. Outside of, they had a first 15 minutes where we were all over the place, and Wolves maybe could have scored one or two, but they just didn't take their chances. But after that, Wolves weren't much better than us until Nuno made those changes later on, and that's what turned the game. And it's interesting that Moyes saying, Traore changed the game and all that. And I would have asked him the question, well, why didn't you do anything to change the game? 3 like-for-like subs that were unlikely to change the focus of our attacks or give Wolves a different look or give them something new to think about. It was just as you were, really. So, full marks to Nuno for switching it up and winning the game for his team. But again, Moyes, you have to question him as regards substitutions.
Yep. Well, listen, I think we've kind of exhausted all that there is to be said. Well, for now, at least on this match.
There is the other thing. There is the other thing you touched on, Chris, about strikers. Now, Bowen can play up top, but he was played out wide today until Yarmolenko came in, and I think he moved centrally alongside Antonio. But up to then, he was on the wing. So basically, we have to consider Bowen a winger, right? So basically, we played the entire game with not a single out-and-out striker on the pitch.
And that's
there was an opportunity. Antonio, I thought, was gassed. After like 70 minutes, and he was on a yellow. So I thought Antonio could have been whipped off at that point. And bring on Ajeti. Whenever Bajetti's come on, he has looked lively. He's looked interested, and he's put himself about. And sorry,
he's never given a proper chance. He
hasn't been. But
5-10 minutes.
Yeah, what would have been wrong? For example, bring Yarmolenko on earlier, put him out on the right wing, Bowen up top, and at the same time, say in the 70th minute, and at the same time, bring Ajeti off the bench, and throw him in for up top alongside Bowen, and then at least you've got 2 strikers up front. Bowen can play as a striker, no problem. I think sometimes maybe we should do that, but there might have been an idea to do that today. I wouldn't have had Anderson up there. Put Bowen in there, put him up top. At least he has the finish. He has the striker's instinct in and around the box. Really great finisher. So I think Moyes just all round just got it wrong today. Starting Anderson was one of his biggest mistakes. I don't know what he thought he was going to get out of Anderson that hasn't been there all season.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Just to respond to Rebecca, because she'll kill me if I don't. She's a good friend. So, we spoke about it earlier, Rebecca, that apart from, those first 10 minutes when Wolves were very good and we were kind of all over the place, after that, Wolves weren't much better than us. And we weren't pulled out of shape by them. Everything was a bit slow and ponderous from them too. And it wasn't great, but credit to Nuno. Once he made those changes, with double substitution and changed the system, that won them the game. But for most of the game, Rebecca, we held them relatively easily, really.
Yeah. Listen, mate, you have anything else to say?
Um, Not really. I think we pretty much covered
Yeah.
today's disappointment.
I mean, there's
But
so much more to talk about, but we've pretty much pretty well exhausted everything there is to be said about this match. I
yeah,
think.
it's just depressing because after that kind of a layoff, like I said, the least you'd expect is players are really up for it, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat here. I know it's relatively late or nice afternoon on a Saturday, so appreciate everyone coming out. We will be back for a post-match live stream after the Tottenham match. I'm hoping for something different than what we've seen today, but not thinking it's too likely here.
Yeah, look, all we can do is we'll have to sit through another 90 minutes, and unfortunately, they'll likely disappoint us again.
Well, mate, I want to thank you for joining me yet again, and I know we'll chat a little bit in the once we exit the stream. But
yeah,
it
was it was a pleasure, and it wasn't, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, looking forward to another abysmal post-match live stream after.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
Well, thank you, everyone, and see you Tuesday. Come on, you.
But you know what I say? Okay, let me finish on one small little positive note, right? And it's not about today's game, but it's the one thing I always say, right? Maybe I'm deluded, but we go through so much crap as West Ham fans, to just over and over and over. But there may just be, maybe just one great day, one sunny day, somewhere in the future that's yet to be determined, that maybe we'll see our team do something a bit special, whether it's winning an FA Cup at Wembley or winning the League Cup, something like that. And I'll tell you what, Chris, if we will go absolutely mental, and it will be the feeling of elation is impossible to describe that we'll feel on that day, if and when it comes, because of what we have to go through over these fuckers.
Well, mate, well said. Look forward to Tuesday, I guess, if you can say that. But until then, come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons, fuckers.